All right. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Good to see you here. Paul Tranning, going to dive into a fun daily creative challenge. This really is day one, just so you know. And we're going to have a lot of fun. We're basically going to be growing our Photoshop skills, as it says above me, as you can see. Today we're going to work on a lot of touch-ups, mainly touching up photos, sort of like portraits, sort of the fundamentals of Photoshop, but also we're going to dive into good old Lightroom. So hopefully that works for you. It's good to see you. Smoothing and cleaning photos, that's right. That's really what we're gonna dive into. We'll do it with a number of photos. I encourage people to use a photo they have of themselves, right? Everybody has that profile pic that they wanna kind of clean up or update. Hopefully you're not using one from 5 years ago, okay, like I do. Just kidding. But update those photos, right? It's a good idea to do so. That's actually what I did, is I actually went and took some photos just with my phone this morning, so I'll share those. But let's kind of dive into this, because you can see, and if you're joining me elsewhere, by the way, just know that I'm on Behance. So let's just pause this for a second and jump over, because you can see right here, this is where we are. I want to welcome everybody. So again, you can see here I am on Behance, .net/Adobe Live challenge right over here. And you can see right in here, this is where you can get the starter file. But like I said, go ahead and feel free to take a photo of yourself, because I think that's fun. And we'll have this fun starting in a second. And then join the community chat as well. And that's done through, again, just housekeeping stuff, folks, through mainly Discord. So sure enough, that's what we're doing today. We're cleaning up photos, polishing your photos. You could see a link to that same file, by the way. Let's take a look at it as we click right there. Again, this is where you'll start. If you don't want to use a photo of yourself or whatever, you could see a number of photos right in here. They're a little dark, but again, we're going to clean these up. That's what happens most often, is photos are just dark. So, Mia, everybody needs a lot of retouching, just because good photos take largely, it's a lot about light as well. So it's not necessarily, you don't look bad, it's just the lighting is bad. That's typically the situation. Okay. But I want to welcome everybody. I see somebody from Myanmar over there on Twitter, and yeah, welcome everyone. Just kind of opening this up. Let me open up that. All right, so folks, yeah, let's dive into this right now. Bear with me as I just open up so I can see chat from everywhere else. Let's do that. Okay, so here's our photos. Notice how it says copy to your work, okay? So this is gonna copy it to your Creative Cloud files folder. So that's where it takes it to you, too. Copies them there, right? I already have done this, by the way, but where it will appear, if you have Creative Cloud, and hopefully you do, is right in here in Creative Cloud Files. So if you're on a Mac, it's Paul Tranny, here we are, and we can see right over here, Creative Cloud Files. And sure enough, here's Challenge 1. And since I clicked it twice, I have 2 copies. So go Challenge 1, we can take those, and we can load those into Photoshop or Lightroom, kind of depending on what we want to do. Hello, everybody, Kyler, and everyone else. Cool. All right, let's keep the conversation going, folks. All right, lighting does make a huge difference. So again, you don't look bad, it's just the lighting. So right in here, we can take these photos. We're gonna have some fun with this, because we can go from something really straightforward, like what you see up here, to something more drastic. So we can really have fun when you're sort of touching up photos. We can get really advanced, and this is kind of where I want everybody to get after a while. And again, this is just one I took this morning that I was just playing around with, to be honest with you. And again, you can see these are the photos that you can download. So that's the whole goal, right? Do something fun, maybe end up with something like that by the time we're done with all of this. But let's take those photos, and this is what I'm gonna do. You ready for this? Okay, that folder also exists on a PC as well. Fantastic, thank you for that, Samuel. I'm just not sure where it appears on the PC. That's the only thing. But let's open these up in Lightroom. So I have Lightroom right over here. right? We can see a number of Lightroom photos. You don't necessarily have these, but these are just like a bunch of Lightroom photos. All my various photos in here. And I just want to do some global touch-ups. So I'll take these files, I could drop them right into or right onto the icon of Lightroom. So I'm using regular Lightroom, not Lightroom Classic. Okay. And from there, you can import those files. We could also go to right up here at the top, File, Add My Photos, and locate them right here. So import, review for import. Here's something interesting. So if you've already added a photo, because I actually already did this a second ago, it'll say that it's already been added. Paul, what are you doing? Previously added. Okay, for you, you're just going to go ahead. They're going to appear for the first time, and then you click Add Photos. Okay, that's what happens. So let's get out of that, cancel. And where they appear, and a good place to look for them is right in here. You can see I imported them 42 minutes ago. For you, it's going to be imported 1 minute ago. Okay. Giafonso, good to see you. Hello. So take any one of these photos. I'll grab this one, for instance. We'll open this up. And this is just amazing how this all works, as you can see. Again, here's where it starts out looking like this. We're just showing the original. From there, let's just take a look at this, because I actually kind of need to roll this back a little bit. All right. But typically I'll open up a photo, and let's do this with, say, for instance, this photo of this woman. You'll open up your photo. You need a magic button. Typically, I go for anything that says auto. Okay? Yeah, navigation pan on the left is where this appears. But let's just click auto right here, and you can see it's just going to go ahead and automatically adjust the photo. So we can see if we click it again, we can turn it off. So we can see the before and then the after. Okay? What happens in this case is it starts to adjust all of these parameters or properties off to the side, right? It's pretty straightforward. And like what was just mentioned, you do have access to all your photos off to the side. Just click this little button right up here and you can access those photos. But here's your nice clean look. We can open up this first panel. We can play with the exposure all we want, contrast, but that auto button does most of the work for us, right? We can take a look. We want to bring out, say, more of her red hair, make it kind of give it a warmer tint, obviously adjust the temperature. I think most of this stuff right over here, this is all pretty straightforward, isn't it? Right? All of this is pretty straightforward. Yay! Enos's first time here. Good to have you. Fantastic. So, Enos, we're working in Lightroom, just so you know. There's also Lightroom Classic, which is a little bit more complex, let's be honest. What I like about Lightroom is it does give you your controls within context of what you're working on. So right here, if you want white balance, well, we can click on this color picker and pick the white balance, the color that's sort of the whitest in here. So I'd click right up here, and that just says, hey, this is white. Everything within this tone will be more gray, and just balances out the photo if there's any weird color cast. Okay, so that's essentially what happened there. Okay, this one already looks pretty good. Hey, let's just have some fun. I'm going to open up these presets right down here, and hopefully I'm not going too fast. Cindy's here for the first time and gets serenaded. Right, presets right here. Oh, let's just make this look cool right out of the gate. We have our auto button up at the top. Let's go down to the bottom to presets, right? And then just start rolling over these, right? We have color. Ba 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 ba. And we just roll through this and see what looks good, huh? Aged photo, yeah. And then we can get into the black and white ones. I do like the turquoise and red. So this is what every film uses, like, oh, let's make it turquoise and red, okay? But it really brings out the red in her hair, which I like. So I can go with turquoise and red just like that. And you can see there's that profile that I'm using that looks pretty good. Okay, so do that with a photo of yours, right? Take that photo, load it up, right? add any sort of color tint, whether it's creative, black and white, whatever you want to do. And right over here, as you can see, just like with some of the other apps, we can go ahead and export it out. So keep in mind, these might be pretty large. I would probably go with JPEG small right now. So we can click JPEG small, output it to my desktop, like so, right? This one remains fine. The great thing is the original is untouched. So I can always go back to the original photo if I want to. Here's the original, and then here's everything that we've added. So the original photo is actually untouched, but these are all sort of the properties and settings that we've added to it. Okay, so what we can do from there is go back out here, and here is Bianca, the file that I exported out. So for current challenge, just like everybody's been doing, making these lovely like mastheads, which is awesome because it's all about growth, right? You can see you've made these awesome, just like headers and cover pages and everything, which I applaud you for. Okay, so great job. This is the goal. Doesn't matter where you're at, it's kind of where you're going and how you're growing. So let's drop this in here. So this is a touched up portrait like that. Okay. There it is. That's a touched up one done in Lightroom. There's more we can do, by the way. So let's just go back to our photos, right? We can go to all the photos that I've been viewing. Let's click right here. Let's go to this one of me, because just like the best of us, right? Some days we have good skin days, and then we have bad skin days. Let me read chat. Yes, thank you. Lightroom has all the easy buttons, is what I would say. If you just want to make something look good, go to Lightroom, apply a preset, hit the auto, but also fix those little touch-ups that you want to do. Like right in here, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm not afraid to show my flaws. Like right here, this little blemish. Oh, great, what's happening there, huh? Let's fix that. It's disgusting. Jeez, Paul, it's gross. Good thing we have a Band-Aid right over here. Bam, healing brush. We can manually adjust the size. We see the size right here, by the way. Zoop, zoop, zoop. Right? Or we could also use our bracket keys as I make this smaller. So I'm going to use my bracket keys, the open bracket, and I'm going to make it about this size right here. And then all I do is click right there, and it samples from another area. It says, hey, this looks like it's the closest area in tone, in brightness as well. And I can also move this. So you can kind of see me move this around, but I think it did a pretty good job with the first time that it kind of picked that. Yeah, that's right. Isn't it funny? Who else here has a hard time, like, guys and girls, who has a problem growing a beard? I don't think I could ever grow a beard because I got these weird patches. And that's what's going on right here. Is there's that weird patch, right? So we can clean up certain areas, right? We can kind of grab a sample from there, and you get the idea. It's the healing brush. Okay, if you want to take this to the next level, you ready for this? This is going to get crazy. Right over here, yeah, neurofilter smile. Yeah, Frank. Oh, you know what's going on. Yeah, next level. Right over here, visualize spots. Right, we'll click right there. These are all the it really amplifies the contrast and removes the color from a photo. So we can see right up here, since I'm visualizing spots, it says, hey, there's some like irregularities right up there. So I could turn that off. And you can see this irregularity is kind of from the lights, right, hitting me in the forehead. I can kind of come in here and do that, maybe undo that, make the brush a little bit bigger. You guys get the idea. Just clean it up, right? I'm going to fix this some more because actually what I want to do, folks, and welcome everybody, good having you here, is I want to kind of take this to the next level in Photoshop. So I could do these fun touch-ups. Right? That looks pretty good. I can export it out if I'm happy with it. Or I can say, hey, you know what? Let's just right click and let's edit this in Photoshop. You guys want to do that? Yeah. Oh, I wish I can grow I wish I had a cool beard. But I don't. Select edit in Photoshop, it opens up in Photoshop, as you can see, and now we can use layers and all this fun stuff. Okay, so here we are, boom, boom, magic stuff. Again, you could do the same thing. You can go grab a photo, grab any of these photos that you've even downloaded, by the way. Like even this one that I took this photo earlier, right? Take that photo, just open it up in Photoshop, and you can start that this way and skip the Lightroom process. It's totally up to you, okay? But here it is. Here's this image. I can clean this up some more, okay? This one even needs some help as well. Like, look at my eyes. This one needs more help than this one. So let's talk about sort of doing some touch-ups in Photoshop as well. Happy December to you, Dana Pride. Awesome. Mary Christina, good to see you. Hello. So look, all these like various issues, kind of have a number of them. We want to duplicate, I typically duplicate our layer, right? So we want to keep the original. You can drag this down to this plus button down at the bottom, or just hit Command J to jump that layer. Now I have my original and then the new one that I can start playing with. And guess what? If we look over here, we have a healing brush in Photoshop as well. So selecting that, we can come in, bam, bam, let's clean it up, clean it up, clean it up. Right, I don't have like, there are some spots. Let's clean that up. I'm gonna take this to the next level because what I typically like to, ooh, this should be on normal, by the way. Let's take rid of that. Let's take a look at this. Right up here at the top, I usually, for under your eyes, right, that's like gets really dark, or actually these highlights as well, I can change this to, say, darken, right? Right up at the top for your tools, change that to darken, okay? Now when I go in here and I paint, let's zoom out a little bit, be easier to see, it removes those light spots when I select darken, right? So that's how I get rid of my shiny forehead, because you know it's in every single thing I do, right? So right down here, if I use darken, that's not gonna do it. What we need to do there is we need to change it to lighten. So let's lighten up these spots underneath the eyes, just like that. Just keeping it really simple right now, right? I haven't removed a whole lot, right? That's, again, darken. If we wanna darken a spot, we just hit it with the darken drop down right there. So we can go, so our before and then our after is already like cleaned up a lot, okay? Yes, always clean your phone's camera lens. Great call. Especially like if you see that lights are blurry, yeah, your lens has been blurry. It's been blurred out a little bit. Okay, so there's more things we can do. I can go old school and we can dive into dodge and burn right over here because we want to dodge things or make them brighter. For the eyes, we could do that. Let's make the eyes a little bit brighter. Let's take a look at what's the options are set for at the top. Midtones, exposure, right? And we can kind of come in and just lighten that up and we can hit that really fast. If it's too intense, just takes the exposure down, right? Just lighten that up, right? So these are just the quick manual tools that you have. Thank you, this gone. Yes, dark spots, use lighten because you want to lighten them up. Thank you for recapping there. And for light spots, use darken, right? Because you want to get rid of those light spots. Okay, a couple things going on here. I'm going to do some magic since I have about 8 minutes. You ready for this? Let's just do this. Overall, I'm very like grainy. I just need to smooth this out, just like the title of this video suggests. We can go into filter and camera raw filter. This is what I typically do. Camera raw filter. And notice right in here, it's like a mini version of Lightroom in Photoshop. Okay, so you can see, hey, with temperature, we were playing with that earlier, right? We can make it a little warmer, right? We can play with the exposure, just like just like we showed before. And guess what? What do we have over here? We have an auto button. auto button is not going to work well for me here because the background is so bright. Watch what happens when I hit auto. It makes everything look dark because it tries to even out all the tones. So let's take that off. But like I said, what I'd want to do is I want to go ahead and work on the texture and the clarity. So off to the side, you can see right over here, texture, zoop. We can give it more or less texture. So this is what some of the light does, makes you look like that, but we could take this texture down a touch if we want to, and we can work with the clarity. Clarity does similar things, right? Notice how it does it overall. And I'm like, geez, I really just want it to do a certain part of my face. Let's take a look at the detail as well. Detail, we could start to sharpen it as well. We won't worry too much about that. Let's go back into basic. All right, I'm throwing a lot at you guys. You guys are learning so much. All right, hello, Therese from Sweden. Did you come straight from Lightroom to Photoshop without importing the photo there again? Yeah, yeah, we could talk about that as well. So I just did an edit in Photoshop from Lightroom initially with this photo, and that opens it up, right, as a flattened version in Photoshop. And then I also just dragged this one into Photoshop. So this is technically a separate file. Okay, so let's work on this. I want to just kind of make some parts smoother. I can use a brush right over here. So select this adjustment brush. We get all the adjustments for this brush. Okay, so I can take maybe the texture down, right? And I can start to paint. So let's kind of paint right up here. And I'm smoothing out the skin right up here at the top. I just smoothed out my forehead, right? And again, we could see the before and then the after, right? I smoothed it out, right? And I can kind of continue to click and drag and smooth out this part of my face as well. Just smoothing out where it looks a little rough in my case, right? You can hit J to hide those little dots, and this looks much better than what it was. So our before and then our after, just smoothing that out. Yeah, okay, thank you for answering that, Susanna. Awesome. We want to brighten up the eyes. I typically would not use dodge and burn, right? Because it's destructive. Right, so is this process. We'll get into that later, but let's take a look at this right over here. We have not only an adjustment brush, we have a graduated filter, so an adjustment filter, if you will, and a radial filter, which is like an adjustment radial as well. And that's what I want for the eyes. Let's just draw out this little circle like so, right? And just make the eyes, give them a little bit of a pop, right? So we just make that a little bit brighter if we want to, right? So we just brighten those up like so. It keeps those settings. So when I go to the second one, there it is. Hit J to hide, and just kind of brightened up the eyes, and that looks better, okay? Click OK, you're done for the most part, right? So again, the before and then the after, right? We're not removing anything that, I'm not gonna remove this scar. I didn't touch the scar off to the side because that's not going to go away in 2 weeks. But you do get rid of those little things that are bothersome that will go away in 2 weeks. So that's the general rule. Cool. Cool. So let's take this to the next level just for fun, if we could do that. Okay. But right here, this is pretty good. Let's do a Command J again. Remember, this is the touched up version. And now let's have the fun version. Yay. You ready for this? It's going to get crazy. Right? Let's take this. We're going to cut out the background. Right? So I'm going to turn off these other layers, and I just want to cut out that background. Okay? So guess what? In the Properties panel, if you have a pixel layer selected, go right over here, remove background. Bam. No hands mode. It removes the background. Right? So what does it do? Well, it adds this layer mask, okay? And for those of you that are new, I know a couple people are new, and this is exactly for you. Understand layer masks and your layers, and be careful which one is selected, right? So if I come over here and I select this one, and then I start painting with a brush, so I'll select a brush, and I'll go right over here to this black and this white, if I start painting, like it'll start removing. So black hides, white reveals, black conceals, as people say. Okay, but black will remove, because what am I doing? I'm painting with black. Painted with black, it removes my eyes. Okay, paint with white, it's gonna add to that mask right over here, right? But what did I do? I just hit the magic button. Again, we'll do that one more time. Just take a layer. Now I'm kind of getting into layer masks, which is kind of not what I wanted to do, but it's adding that layer mask, removing it. We can add some fun background to it. Why not? There we go. And then we can have some more fun with this as I make this black and white. Boom, like that. Maybe throw a circle back there. I know, I'm trying to give something for everyone if you're new to Photoshop or if you've been working in it a while. But there you go, there's a little circle. Throw a little circle back there, do something kind of interesting is what I'm trying to do. So that's all, right? So there we have this version. Here's a version I made earlier. Again, if you're using these assets, here's sort of a final one that I played with. So for those of you who want to do some advanced stuff, feel free to throw some curves on there and do some different things. From there, just go to export, save for web, right? And export that out and put that in Discord. That is all my time. Hopefully you learned a lot. I can't wait to see what you have. Thanks, everybody. Stay tuned. We have more live streaming coming up. Thanks so much.